Lovelies, and
Hello,
welcome back to
beautiful
Mama G
humans.
here. Mama G here, and not a doctor, but she's a doctor, Rusty Blades.
Yeah, something like that.
In her own mind, anyway. So, we're doing this video to acknowledge that the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we just want to pop a little video. I know it's not yarny or whatever, but we go off the script all the time with that. And so we just thought we'd pop out this video. We really, nothing's scripted. We're just going to chat like normal because, you know.
Just can't be scripted.
I can't be scripted. And just wanted to touch on some things about mental health as opposed to the term mental illness. Okay, I got an itchy ear. Just
because it's important to
if it itches, scratch
it's important to discuss things and keep topics out there, which is why we have awareness months in general. The more you keep the topic in the discussion, the more normalized it is. So, I mean, even just on this channel, there's certain things that like I've talked about and people have emailed me and been like, I would have had no idea you deal with that too. But thank you for talking about it because it helps to know that you're not alone in this and that we all,
you're not alone.
Everybody's brain, while everyone's brain works different, we all, just about everybody has some sort of trial or tribulation that they're overcoming.
And it's also too, like I said, we're just winging it, so we might be all over the place as usual. But it also too, I think you got to figure what is the criteria. I know there is a criteria. I went to college for this, so I understand the actual crapola. But like normal. Well, that word normal changes from decade to decade, from culture to culture. You know, it's not something that is written in stone. It has to do with the environment, the era, and yada, yada. So what maybe was normal behavior 2 decades ago is no longer normal behavior now. I think
normal is pretty much just,
it's very
could be used
subjective
for like a control group in a experiment. That would be the normal. That's the only time I think the word really does. Yeah, not that they're normal, but that's
it's
the normal, the control in comparison to what they're. But when it comes to people and things, really, there's no normal.
So I think key is to not compare yourself to other people. That will help your mental health greatly, because when you start comparing yourself to what you perceive those other people to be, that's the key. You're never going to be happy with yourself. So I think maybe a smarter way to do that is to celebrate who you are, celebrate your uniqueness, celebrate your faults. You know, I actually said in a video just recently that I just dropped in the time of this filming, it just dropped yesterday, I think, but I mentioned about the OCD that I have. In my OCD, I'm fortunate to say that it isn't debilitating. Not anymore. It might have been a hassle with me earlier before I understood it. At this point in my life, my OCD actually brings me joy in the respect that I giggle. I find it ridiculous that I have to set things certain ways. So I'm approaching it with, this is who I am, makes me unique, makes me who, you know, and it's just something I deal with. And instead of getting frustrated with it, I laugh about it and it makes me smile. And it also, I keep a little bit more organized in some areas of my life with it, but you know.
Yeah, kind of on the topic of that we're talking about, like not comparing to others. You also don't want to compare yourself basically to yourself, because your best every day is different. Sometimes my best is I got out of the bed and I made it to the couch and I was able to read a book or something for a little bit. Sometimes my best is I got up, we went on a long W with the dogs, because I can't say that word. I got things done in the garage. I got crafts done. So even your
very
own
productive
best
day,
is going to be different. So don't even make yourself. It's important to celebrate your little wins. It's important to give yourself breaks. So when I'm making to-do lists, I have pet the dogs for a little bit. Sometimes I'll put read a book for an hour. Sometimes I'll put watch a TV show. Also, I'll put those little breaks in there too, so I'm still able to check them off of my to-do list.
And a valid point there too is that on your to-do list, you're putting things that aren't necessarily productive in the sense of getting something done, but you are actually getting something done because you're taking a moment for yourself. And I think a lot of people feel guilty when they take
We're
time for
programmed to feel
themselves.
guilty.
Yeah, we are. We're programmed to be like little working machines. And no, that's not the case. Write down, you know what, I'm going to lay on the couch and watch a soap opera or a video or something. Don't feel guilty about taking time for yourself. You need to keep your mental health and your feelings. The dog figures, right? The dog, she spelt the word W, and he already's like, okay, I was that. But don't ever feel guilty about taking time for yourself. In fact, don't feel guilty about anything. I know that sounds weird, and I'm going to throw this out here, but psychiatrists go to school to learn about psychiatry. Psychotherapists go through an excruciating, I forgot how many years long, sorry about Dougal howling, he's a basset hound. Psychotherapists actually go through a rigorous, I think it's like 4 or 5 years allegedly, I don't know how many years, of this whatever. Now, when they're done with that, and again, apologize for the dog, they feel zero guilt about anything that they've done. And I know, Google it if you want to learn more information about that and go down that rabbit hole. But that's the way we should feel.
Dukes.
There's nothing that you ever do, well, within reason.
I was going to say, yeah, you're
within reason.
Yeah.
That you should feel guilty. I mean, we're talking about us generalized, and Dougal's gonna come here, Dougs. Come here, Dougal. But anyway, so don't feel guilty and do take time for yourself.
Yes.
And we'd like to say that our mission for you, if you choose to accept it, is at least let's try this for the month of May and then extend it for the rest of your existence. Is take at least a minimum of 15 minutes a day to do something that brings you pleasure, that brings you joy, regardless of what it is, as long as you're not hurting small children and animals. Okay, so, and do it. And don't feel guilty about it.
So, like, one of the things that I do with mine is I really like these 3D puzzles. So I buy these wooden 3D puzzles.
These are fabulous.
And I don't buy them all the time because they're not super expensive, but they're not cheap. So I don't buy them all the time. But they're just...
Now he's into a paper bag. He just wants to be a part
They're
of the
just,
show.
It's a 3D puzzle. So it's something I treat myself to every once in a while. It's calming for me to make them. I really enjoy them. And I've kind of always wanted a trebuchet.
That's cool as heck.
Cat
Yeah, so that's going to be your May mental health craft. Yeah, do crafts. And do things that bring you joy, bring you pleasure. And that's basically what I want to say. And laugh. Watch comedy stuff. Laughter is the best medicine. It really does biochemically and physiologically does a lot for your physical health as well as your mental health. So find things that make you laugh. Our channel, we try really hard to be silly, to get you to giggle. So that's part of the doctor giving you some medicine.
So on laughter, Stephen King was quoted as saying, "You can't deny laughter. When laughter comes, it kicks the door open and sits and plops itself down in your favorite chair and isn't going to get up until it's ready." I might not be having that exactly word for word.
Paraphrase.
So it's paraphrasing, but it's close to that. Yeah. But it's that concept that, sometimes there's times when Aaron and I are in the shop and a customer comes in and we're just apologizing because we're just so hysterically laughing and we can't stop ourselves over things. But it's true. Once laughter comes in, it's staying for as long as it wants to.
And then when you try not to laugh, you laugh even harder. Like I remember in church one time and it was a wedding and the priest, just going to a quick story time, the priest English was his second language and he had a little bit of he was trying to say the word Lisa and the people that were getting married were Lisa and Ray, and he said Wisa and Way, and it just hit my funny bone.
Sometimes something.
And
just
of course,
hits
you're in
right.
church, so you're trying not to laugh, which makes it harder to not laugh. And I'm just behind the pew giggling, you know, and it was not out of disrespect. It just hit my funny bone.
Yes,
you know.
sometimes even the silliest things that aren't going
Yeah.
to be funny if you explain them to anybody
Yeah.
else or show them, they just hit you in that moment at the right. Everything's
Embrace
just right
it.
in that moment.
Embrace
But
it.
yeah, when you can
And even
laugh,
your mistakes,
laugh.
embrace your mistakes too. Don't get down on yourself. Just, oh, I can't believe I just did that. Well, I just did that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get down on your mistakes, you know, embrace them. We embrace mistakes. Hence why we have so many nicknames for everybody.
Yes.
You know, because we say their name wrong and then it sticks. But anyway, is that it?
But yeah, so remember, let's do a sum up. So, Mental Health Month, try to take some time for yourself, take
Every
some time
day.
for your mental psyche. We might do some extra, we might try to pop some meditation sessions in, or just some tricks and tips and tricks along the way. But yes, remember, you're important, you matter, and it's okay to put relax for 15, 20, 30 minutes on your to-do list.
Yes.
That's okay to do that.
We're kind of ordering you too.
Yes.
If you try for the month of May, say, you know what, I'm gonna be selfish because you're in internal conflict that you're gonna have in your brain. I'm gonna be selfish. I'm gonna take a half an hour today and just soak in a bubble bath, and not feel guilty about it. And then let's try it for the month of May, and then hopefully it will become a habit that you implement for the rest of the year and years to come, and continue on, because you need to do that. We all need to do that. I think we often are too hard on ourselves, too judgmental on ourselves, you know, always apologizing. We shouldn't be apologizing. I know I do. I'm terrible for it. I was apologizing for the dog barking. I had no control over that, and you could just deal with it. But anyway, yeah, and if you don't like what someone's saying, just tell them. Just deal with it. And yeah, on that note, we done?
I just don't have the time.
I just don't have the time. We got to go. I don't have the time. All right. Love you guys. Be well. And yeah, take time for yourself.